Hey y'all, welcome back. Welcome back to the channel. Hope you guys are having a good weekend. We got ourselves some Premier League Sunday action. We're going to go over each of the three games. I'm going to provide you a best bet and hope to make you guys some money this weekend on this beautiful Sunday here, October 6th, 2024. Without any further ado, let's go ahead and get on into it. All right, in this first matchup, we got Aston Villa going up against Man United, and two teams that played in Europe earlier in the week, and Aston Villa coming away with a huge victory against Bayern. They were at home at Villa Park, and they won that game 1-0 in a game that many expected Bayern to win. Aston Villa really fought hard and played some excellent defense, and were able to get away with the victory. Again, 1-0, and huge win for them. They're now 2-0 in the Champions League and flying high. On the other hand, you got Manchester United, who was able to salvage a draw in their game against their Europa League game against Porto in a game where they were up 2-0, only to have Porto come back and score three unanswered goals. And luckily, Harry Maguire was able to put a header through the net um, to tie the game up. So they've now drawn their first two games. So I mean, I guess that's a step in a positive direction for Manchester United. That's where we're at with this club at this point, where if they get a draw, then we're heading in the right direction. But if you ask me, I'm not so sure. Aston Villa, on the other hand, I think they're doing great. What's surprising is that they're doing great, but they still sit fifth in the table because you have teams like Liverpool, Arsenal, Man City that are at the top of the heap, and then you have Chelsea that is really turning around their season, and all those guys, all the players that they brought in are really starting to gel. And I actually like that Chelsea team to do big things. Maybe not this year as far as competing for the title in the Premier League, but going into next year, I think definitely. Cole Palmer is probably the best player in the Premier League at this point. You know, um, really came out of nowhere in a sense. He had a really good preseason and start the year last year for those, um, you know, during his time while he was still with City, and then he came over to Chelsea, and we all know what happened there. Um, Scored a bunch of goals for them last year, and he's really picked up where he left off. I think he kind of started off slow. Why am I talking about Palmer when it's an Aston Villa versus Man United game? We'll get back to that. Um, so Aston Villa did win their game against Bayern, which is huge victory in Europe. But the game was kind of costly for them. They did end up losing Andre Onana, and Jacob Ramsey also is hurt, and both of those guys are probably not going to play today in this one. Um, but uh, they also have Leon Bailey out, and Manchester United is pretty healthy. But looking at this matchup, Aston Villa been really good at Villa Park this year. I think they are the better squad, even with you know Bailey, Onana, and Ramsey potentially looking to be out. Although Onana might play, the other two not so much. I still look for Aston Villa to win this game, and you know what? You can get good odds because of those injuries right now. So you can take Aston Villa plus 130 bet MGM. I think ESPN bet might have them at plus 135, but this Manchester United team, I just can't trust them. So looking at this matchup, I'll take Aston Villa on the money line. I think that's good value for your money. So if you can get that one, prior to this matchup, if this kickoff at 9 o'clock, go ahead and do that. Aston Villa one plus 130. All right, second game up, we have Chelsea going up against Nottingham Forest. We're just talking about this Chelsea team and how much I do like them in terms of now that they've become a little bit more galvanized as a team, they've been able to determine basically what their starting 11 is going to be. Uh, I think this team has a lot of potential going forward. They're already showing some of that potential. Nottingham Forest, on the other hand, is a side that I like in terms of, just the team and their history and their fans and stuff like that. But Nottingham Forest is a squad that plays much, much better at home at the city grounds. They don't travel as well. Going up against this Chelsea team that has some momentum on their side, I'm a little bit worried about Nottingham Forest in this game. Not only to win the game, which I don't think is really a possibility. I mean, it's a possibility. Anything can happen in the Premier League. I just don't think it's likely. But also just even scoring a goal in this matchup because Chelsea's defense has actually stepped it up quite a bit. They're going to have Reece James, I believe, back in this one, who is their skipper actually, and then you got a guy like Cole Palmer, okay, that is leading the league in points plus assists. So this guy is just a playmaking machine, scoring machine. He scored 4 goals in his last game, and Chelsea is riding high at this point, and I like them to continue that momentum and come away with a victory here. Looking at this matchup, I like Chelsea -1. So for that particular bet, what you need out of that is for Chelsea to win by 2 goals. So I can easily see this being a 2-0 game, 3-1, something like that, maybe even 3-0, or it could get even uglier for Nottingham Forest. Now, I'm saying all that, but listen, I wouldn't be surprised if Nottingham Forest was competitive in this game. So I rate each one of these games up by using a 5-star system, 5 out of 5 stars. This is my least favorite game out of all of them, just because of the value standpoint. This is a matchup where it's more difficult to find value than some of the other matchups because of some of the things going on. Aston Villa with the injuries, and then in the other game, there's injuries in that one as well. So things are a little bit wonky with the other two games, where this one's kind of in line as far as Chelsea being the overwhelming favorites at home. So I do like Chelsea -1 in terms of value. The other bet that I was thinking about recommending is the one where you have the first half Chelsea money line and under 2.5 goals. So I would look at that one as well. You can get some better odds on that one. I think it's plus 165. Taking Chelsea -1 on the handicap, that's going to be at plus 125. So that's my official best bet. But also take a look at that first half money line plus under 2.5. Right, in our last matchup, we have Brighton going up against Spurs, being played at the Amex there in Brighton. And, this is one of the matchups where at first I kind of went back and forth before I did a little bit of research. Some injuries to speak of on Brighton's side. Still don't have Evan Ferguson, who's their striker, who is a guy that has a lot of upside and that played really well, helped them beat Arsenal last year, actually, towards the beginning of the season. And he's a guy, Irish national, and he's not going to be available. But more importantly, João Pedro, who has really been, I think, the focal point of their attack for this Brighton side. I love Matoma. There on the left side, but João Pedro is attacking midfielder, and really he's the heart and soul of this attack at this point. He's not going to be available, unfortunately. And at one point, I was thinking, okay, this is, why are these odds stacked so far on the side of Tottenham when Brighton's at home? Brighton's a good squad. Started off real hot. Actually, we're top of table for a little bit, and then they ran into Arsenal, and they had that. They actually a game where they were down, and then Arsenal left Declan Rice, and they actually came back to tie that game. But since then, they've kind of gone into a string of either draws or losses, and it's kind of been downhill. But this Brighton side, this is a team that, after losing, oh, geez, I can't remember his name now. He went over to Marseille, their coach, who, really had an attacking minded approach to the game. Brought in this new guy who's actually the youngest coach in the Premier League, and he's really done a really good job. Um, on the other side, you got Postecoglou and Spurs, who are dealing with a couple injury concerns of their own. Uh, Most prominently, Son is going to miss this game. He's going to be out until after the international break. Of course, this is the last game before the international break. There was some talk maybe he'd be able to play this one, but they're going to hold him out. Son has not been as good this year to start off the season. Really like Son too. I think love the way he plays, but he's just not been himself, and maybe he's been dealing with some injuries, and that's why. But I think Spurs have enough. Brennan Johnson is really, um, I don't want to say that's a purple patch for him, but he's in a fine shape of form at this point, and the guy got guys like Solanke and others that are more than capable of scoring a goal when needed. And I like Spurs in this one. If Brighton had João Pedro, I'd like them on a draw or even to win the game. But with him being out, I just don't know where the creativity is going to come from. So I think Spurs, you're getting a good value for Spurs just on the money line. You don't have to mess around with any like game parlay or anything like that. You could take Spurs on the money line plus 125, and I think that's got a really, really good chance of coming to fruition. So Spurs money line plus 125, and that's my best bet for that one. All right, folks, that's all I got for you. Thanks again for listening in. I apologize for not getting out anything for Saturday's games, either in, Europe, in the games in Europe, MLS, Liga MX, college football games. There was an NHL game, MLB games, because I just wasn't feeling well. And it's been tired. So I will try to get out more videos going forward, of course. As always, I try to put out as much as I can, but thanks again for listening in. And goes without saying, but if you get a chance to hit that like button, please do. Please comment down below. Let me know what you think about these bets, and hit that subscribe button. Okay. But good luck to everyone, and until we see you next time, peace out.